And still the biggest question in the world. Where's everybody getting all these crates from? Let's go.
Man.
I mean,
How are so many people so stupid? Can we get to that part?
Big Milk is somehow at the bottom of this. You know they are.
Milk, it heals broken bones.
Let's take a look at the touch from Jameis Winston last night. Throwing the deep ball. Woo! 9 to 10, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill, 11 of 20, 138 yards, and 1 touchdown. For the Saints, Sean Payton has been adamant he's not going to name a starter until the last second he has to. But did Jameis Winston not only just lock it up last night for you, did he show any of you he could be in for that big Sean Payton-infused makeover season around the horn? Bomani Jones.
No, look, if that game carries any weight in the equation, like any weight whatsoever in the equation, who's going to be the starter, then Jameis Winston locked it up last night because there were 2 dudes that were out there and only one of them looked like an NFL quarterback, and that was Jameis Winston. Now, the big makeover thing, Sean Payton is interesting in that we look at it as like, yo, Sean Payton, he can make quarterbacks get a whole lot better. We really saw him do it with Drew Brees, right? He got it together with this one guy, and he's been with that guy for like 15 years. We can't expect him to just be a magician with just anybody. But in terms of talent, there's a reason Winston was the #1 overall pick. There's a reason why he was a Heisman Trophy winner when he was a redshirt freshman. We all acknowledge the significant level of talent that's there. The question is just, can you get him to stop making bad decisions? Did 1 year off of the field get him in a position where he realized that some of those throws he made were throws that he should not make? If he reached that point and he's with Sean Payton, who is a great offensive coordinator, then, oh, yeah, this could be something serious.
Mm-hmm. Tim Calishow, you see it that way?
Pretty much, because there's a couple things we don't think about much when we discuss Jameis Winston. One of those things is 6 months younger than Dak Prescott. We tend to think of Jameis as kind of a finished product and maybe a little on the washed up side after things didn't work out in his first 5 years at Tampa Bay. But the other thing we don't think about when we talk about those league-leading interceptions that ended his time with the Bucs is the 5,000 yards passing that led the league. That was the way that team moved the ball. It was a 5-11 team, I think, that wasn't very good, and they had one chance, and that was for Jameis to throw the ball down the field. Now he's on a team with a really good defense, with Kamara at running back, a lot of different ways to attack people. And as Bomani said, that light bulb has to click that I don't have to throw it into this triple coverage here and make a play. I've got to cut back on the interceptions. And if he does, then that makeover that you mentioned can happen.
A lot of ifs from Mr. Jones and Mr. Calishow. Woody Page, give me a will.
Well, he will be, I think, an improved quarterback over what he was in Tampa Bay. And Bomani, you're somewhat not understanding that when Teddy Bridgewater came there, he started 6 games while Brees was injured and won 5 of those games. So he did do it with Bridgewater, who hadn't played in 2 or 3 years prior to that. So I think that the two of them will work together well. Peyton has said, I promise you he's not going to throw 30 interceptions. And the reason will be that he'll do a much better job with him. If he were on pace to throw 30, he wouldn't be the starting quarterback for very long in New Orleans. I think that they're going to work as a tandem very well there. I think if he can cut down to, say, half his interceptions and throw 24 touchdowns as Brees did last year and maybe 12 interceptions, that would be fine in New Orleans and would get them, and particularly with opening against the Packers, he's going to be the starting quarterback.
Good argument, a sound argument from Woody Page. Most impressive, he said, Bomani's not understanding something and may have gotten away with it. He may be able to live to tell the story afterwards. Let's see. First, Ramona Shelburne.
Well, look, if we're using interceptions and turnovers as our metric of is he better, they had no turnovers yesterday. They had 6 against the Ravens the week before. Now, I'm not sure if that's just the Jaguars that they're playing and again, compared to the Ravens, but he didn't turn the ball over yesterday. And I think I think Jameis really gives them a whole dimension that they didn't have with Drew Brees. That touchdown pass that he threw to Callaway, that went 53 yards in the air. That's the longest ball that any Saints quarterback has thrown in the air since 2016.
Wow, good piece of information, Ramona. Bomani Jones, come back in. Go ahead, Woody, if you may.
No, I understood where he was coming from. I'm just saying that simply. Teddy Bridgewater was a decent quarterback before. It's not like he turned somebody who was terrible into something great. They managed games and they figured it out. But you talk about that thing with Winston and Brees. Drew Brees couldn't get the ball down the field. He was second in the league last year in completion percentage, but only 14th in yards per attempt. They got a guy that can stretch the field now.
Wow, you hear that, Woody Page? I love it when they bring in the two boxes next to each other, like, here we go, let's go. It's like they're weighing in for a fight. And Bomani allows for Woody to take the win here. An incredible play from Page here.
I don't know if that was a win. That was not how I interpreted this at all.
Oh, we're going to move on here. You guys saw the Jaguars on the other end of the field here. And the body language specialist had a review of Urban Meyer. Nobody was positive about how he was looking. And then the whole offensive scheme, how did that look to you? And Trevor Lawrence, the most under the radar number one pick quarterback of a quarterback draft ever? I mean, is his ceiling as high as you once thought it was? A lot of questions about Jacksonville. Tim, where do you like to start?
Well, I would start with the one question I do have about Urban Meyer. And I don't care about a lot of the stuff he's been criticized for. I don't care about the Tebow stuff. He's already gone anyway. And not naming a quarterback yet. That's a game coaches play. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the quarterback. Gardner Minshew is not going to quarterback the Jaguars this year. But when he took that job, when Urban Meyer took that job, we said there's two reasons to take this job. Trevor Lawrence and this $100 million or whatever it was in free agency money to spend. And he spent none of it on offensive linemen. They filled in spots, other spots they needed, and they needed plenty. They did not improve the tackle position. Last night they played without a center and a guard, starting center and guard. And regardless, I think their offensive line is going to be a mess. And that is going to be Urban Meyer's one big regret, is that Trevor Lawrence is going to get beat up in his rookie season.
Bomani, what from Jacksonville jumped out?
One thing I got to say about that point with the offensive line, and their offensive line is not great, but it's the quarterback's responsibility to get the ball out of there. Like, it's been shown when you go through the numbers year after year, the quarterback tends to be the one responsible for sacks, not so much the offensive line. And Trevor Lawrence has never been under the pressure that he's going to be under for 17 weeks coming up from now. It's a whole different ballgame with what it was at Clemson from now. So what I wonder about him is not about the ceiling, but the floor with him might be lower than we thought that it would be. This is going to be a serious adjustment process for him. So I want to see this. Now, for Urban Meyer, this is a man that does not handle losing very well. He had an 8-5 season at Florida, and it made him quit the job. Like, you see it all over his face. He wears it, and he's going to have to figure this out because losing in the NFL happens. You're 8-5 at a point in the season. There's a good chance that you're going to wind up being happy about it. But there did not look to be a whole lot of cause for optimism for this season in Jacksonville based on what we saw yesterday.
Woody Page.
Well, I would say Bomani really doesn't understand Jacksonville.
Oh,
like
no.
that.
Here we go again, Woody. Oh, boy. Man, shoot your shot, player.
Well, I would like to start with this in defense of Lawrence. Is there were two offensive linemen who couldn't play in the game last night because of injuries, so that was a mismatched sort of offensive line. But in talking about Urban Meyer, I got dizzy watching him walk up and back and up and back, and I'm afraid watching that game I thought about Steve Spurrier, Nick Saban, Lou Holtz, Bud Wilkinson, great college coaches who couldn't make the transition to coaching in the NFL, and that's what I wonder about. He said 2 weeks ago, I'm still learning the pro game. Yes, we're seeing that right in front of us. We will this year. This is a team that's destined to win about 2 or 3 games this year, and Lawrence is going to be a lot like Joe Burrow last year with the Bengals, that he is not going to be protected by that offensive line, and he could have a possibility of getting injured if they don't protect him as well as they possibly can.
And Ramona Shelburne.
Bo, are you sure you don't want to join the alliance with me? I'm a member of the Pac-12. We could be in an alliance. Yeah. Look, you remember when we all thought the Jets were going to ruin Trevor Lawrence when they were going to get the number 1 pick? He'd be lucky to be on the Jets. Oh, my goodness.
So you're that down on Jacksonville right now. Offensively, the scheme, you were not impressed by any means.
Yeah, I think they just need to build around him. And the quote from Urban Meyer when he was asked about who his starter was, he said, we're not on a 4-year plan, we're on a 1-year plan. And he keeps talking of Gardner Minshew. Like, Bo's right. He's not good at losing. He's not good at these situations and these rebuildings. And I'm wondering if he just doesn't want to put Trevor out there right now because they are that bad.
Kalish, you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars lost their other first-round pick, Travis Etienne, to a foot injury, and that is huge. Yeah. He was a guy Lawrence could dump the ball off to and let him do his thing. That was going to be a major part of the offense. So this is going to be a challenge for them to win 5 games.
Well, Woody tempted fate once again. Bomani, I'll give you the last word here.
Yeah, I'll say this. I feel like I do understand Jacksonville, and I know this. This is not a harbinger necessarily for the future of Trevor Lawrence, but I know what it looks like when a great player is behind a bad offensive line. That isn't what it looked like. It looked like a bad offensive line and a quarterback that didn't look very good himself.
How much of that you think was the offensive scheme? Because Dan Orlovsky, he minced no words yesterday saying, get a new offensive coordinator now.
Big opportunity for Mac Jones this week. I mean, everybody should all figure
it is. Look, our entire team has opportunities every day, all the way through the week against the Giants in the game. I hope we can all take advantage of those opportunities.
The illuminating words of Bill Belichick. Ramona Shelburne and National Panel, welcome to Buy or Sell. With Cam Newton away for COVID protocol for the remainder of this week, it's thought, is Mac Jones now in the driver's seat in New England for QB1? What'd you hear from Belichick there, Momo?
Maybe this week he is. I still think Cam Newton is the starter when they go into the regular season. But this does open the opportunity because Mac has not taken any reps with the top squad here in training camp. So this opens this up for him. But I think it gets back to the larger discussion about vaccinations amongst players. When your quarterback is not vaccinated, and Cam has not said one way or the other, it's his personal decision, but the rules state if you travel as a tier 1 or tier 2 player, you don't have to test every day. So the fact that he has to test every day, even though he tested negative, this puts them in a predicament here, and it continues throughout the regular season until he is vaccinated.
Coach Bill, I thought, was very candid there and expansive in his answer. Really? No, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I think that Jones can at least continue to show that he is developing into an NFL quarterback and can be ready to go. But they're going to start Cam Newton in the first game and probably into the season and see what happens when he's given a full chance, and maybe he'll be healthy for a period of time.
EC?
As powerful as that soundbite was, Tony, I'm going to say it didn't mean a lot because even after this week's games, there's no games next week. So there's 2 weeks for the Patriots essentially to get ready for the opener. That's plenty of time for Cam to be back practicing, leading the team. Now, Mac Jones has played well, and that's going to help him. And he may get the job at some point this season, but I don't think he'll start with it.
I mean, he can win the job in this time. I don't necessarily think that he will, but if you get this opportunity to have these days and be out front, and fundamentally we know they take you in the first round because they want you to be the starter. They might not want to be the starter right now, but they do ultimately want it to happen. So it wouldn't shock me if he took this opportunity and became the starter. I don't think it will, though.
Buy or Sell 2, quote, a lot of people around the league, end quote, have told Jeremy Fowler this might be the year everybody figures out Lamar Jackson. So today, at Ravens camp, Lamar was asked about that, and here's his response.
I'm going to keep playing football. We're going to see. But I doubt it, dude. I doubt it. I strongly doubt it.
Would he buy or sell Lamar Jackson there?
I'm buying it big time. There have been a lot of quarterbacks that have come through this league that were never figured out. Slinging Sammy Ball to start with, Johnny Unitas, John Elway, Peyton Manning. If he continues to be on the path he's on, they're not going to figure out his running, and his, I think, passing game will improve each year. That's a wrong estimation.
Kalisha?
You know, people have figured out different things over time. They figured out Marvin Harrison was going to line up at the right side every play and set the NFL record for receptions while doing it. Figuring out that Lamar runs a 4.3 and he makes those spin moves, that's great. You figured it out. Now go tackle him.
Bomani Jones?
I buy Lamar Jackson, and look, they only say this about black dudes, man. Josh Allen just had one of the greatest single-season leaps we have ever seen last year. His game is largely predicated on athleticism. You ain't heard nobody say they're going to figure out Josh Allen this year. We need to stop carrying the water of anonymous scouts that sound like the same anonymous scouts that wouldn't let black people be quarterbacks in the first place.
Just to go back at you here, Bomani Jones, that was Lamar's MVP season was 2 years ago, and last year, would you say was a step back in some direction or a sideways step?
Yeah, it was. I'll make this point again. Peyton Manning's 4th year in the league. He got his coach fired because he played so bad. Nobody ever said that the NFL had figured Peyton Manning out. You figure out coaches if you're going to figure anybody.
Ramona Shelburne.
Yeah, somewhere LeBron James has got a super washed tweet ready. Wash King, right? I mean, look, this is going to be the story of Lamar's career. People are going to doubt him every single year, and so far he has proven himself against the doubters. So I think he just used this as another motivation. It's the same thing we heard when he came out of the draft.
Buy or sell 3, the Orioles, 18 straight losses, and they play the Angels tonight. Here's the headline from Ken Rosenthal, The Athletic this week. These Orioles show how badly MLB needs anti-tanking measures. Tim, I go to you for all my tanking needs. Does this Orioles losing streak make you think baseball needs anti-tanking measures?
Oh, they needed it before the Orioles came along. I've never understood the mindset that we don't have a salary cap, so we won. When you have 12 teams with a payroll below 100 million, 4 teams below 60, including those Orioles this year, not really even trying to compete. Yes, they need to revamp the rules, and that's why this CBA is going to be very difficult.
Money.
Yeah, this is a byproduct of having a postseason that has so few of the teams that ultimately get in it, because, I mean, there's so many teams that don't have anything to play for. So we've seen over the years them going from 1 team to make the playoffs from each league to 2 teams and everything step up. But now they're going to have to go to another level, because it's not just about the teams that don't make the postseason. It's like, if we're not going to get close, we're not even going to try.
Mona?
Yeah, this is embarrassing. I mean, they've been outscored 149-47 during this 18-game losing streak. There's only 4 other teams in Major League Baseball history who've been outscored with a run differential of over 100 of an entire season. That's so bad, and it's terrible for the fans, terrible for the players on that team.
I think everybody agrees the Orioles are bad. I would ask you now, Woody, and maybe we can go around after this, but baseball has had teams with low payrolls make the World Series. Look at Tampa. They've had teams like the Marlins give up on some years and win a World Series another year. Has it gotten to crisis for Major League Baseball, Woody?
Oh, I think so. It's not only that you get the number 1 overall pick, but teams at the very bottom get bigger bonuses to pay the amateur players. So it actually works in a positive way for them to tank. But I've looked at the history from 1965 to 2014, the number 1 pick. Of all of those, only 4 or 5 have ever been Hall of Fame worthy. Yeah. So it didn't really work.
Yeah, it's not like the NBA where you incentivize losing and then you get a real shot at the number 1 pick, and that can change your franchise immediately. And that changes Woody Page's future immediately. Woo. Woody, back in the showdown on the strength of that Callis show, like a man standing on a milk crate trying to get to 500 wins. Down he goes. Thanks for today, Momo. Page, Jones. Whoa, these 2 guys are going at it earlier. Let's see how it shakes out in showdown.
Let's hope he